Hello and welcome to another podcast. Today I would like to share a story about burnout and that you cannot fill your tank if you don't have one. And that's all about the Ayurvedic perspective on this topic, which considers the vital energy that is called ojas, which is a very important energy according to Ayurvedic Ayurvedic science, or the life science that is called Ayurveda. If you like the story, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and feel free to check out the website to see all the things that are coming up. And if you have any questions or comments, then feel free to share them below or send me a message. So ojas is probably a new term for a lot of people. And I see it in this context as the key to our body's battery life. So these days, everyone has had periods in their lives where they just needed to stop. And it might not have even been a choice. And it might just be your body doing it for you. And it might have been because you've been busy for too long, because you have young kids or older kids, or you've just moved, you have a new job, you're ill, or maybe even a combination of all of these. And those are just the periods of time where you really need to recharge your battery. And that might be your choice, or it might not be your choice. And that then the choice may be made for you. But how do you do that? Recharge those batteries? And is just resting enough, or is there more to it? And as you might expect from an Ayurvedic point of view, there's more to it. And that's called ojas. And rest does play a major role in it as well. In Ayurveda, we have 3 pillars of health, and rest is the second, or sleep is the second of the 3 pillars of health as they're described by Ayurveda. And the other 2 pillars are those of nourishment, which obviously is also important, and energy management. And that's where ojas comes in. So what are ojas, and what does that have to do with filling your tank and having one? So ojas is our vital energy, which acts as a container for the other vital energies. So there are more vital energies. And ojas is mainly kind of the 3rd pillar of health, but it actually enters into all of them. Because you get it from eating the right food that nourishes your body and builds your body. And the nourishment that is left at the end of building your body, which all comes from the 1st pillar of health, this nourishment. At the end of building your body, which takes 40 days, the rest of the nourishment becomes ojas. And ojas is also nourished as you rest well and your body has time to do its recovery and its maintenance. And then as the 3rd pillar, ojas is the energy that you need to manage. If you do too much of something, then you can deplete yourself of this vital essence. So it's kind of a big and precious something. So yes, it's all connected as always. With anything, it is always all connected. And as you can maybe guess, if you've read my previous blogs or if you've listened to previous podcasts and stories, ojas is very connected to the Agni, the digestive fire. Because if you look at the 1st pillar, you can only nourish your body well if your Agni is strong. And if you don't rest well, your Agni suffers from that. From like the 2nd pillar, from the sleep pillar, if you don't rest well, your Agni suffers. And then you get stuck with more ama, the stuff that clogs your system. And that also depletes your ojas. So there's this whole interconnectedness between Agni, ojas, and those 3 pillars of health, of nourishment, of sleep, and of the management of those essences. And another one of those vital essences is prana. And you might know that one from the yoga world where they talk a lot about prana. And it's kind of called your life force or life energy or whatever kind of name you want to give it. And it's the air that you breathe that gives you energy, that makes you feel lighter. And it is also, prana is connected to the air element. And you can also get this energy directly from food. It's an energy that is easy to obtain. And you need prana to live, it's essential. And without prana, there is no life. And that's actually the same for our ojas, because without ojas, there's also no life anymore. But in the case of prana, if you only work on prana, you can sort of overdose on that air element. And too much air element can make you floaty, ungrounded, unstable, lose your focus. And that's where you kind of get into the link to vata dosha. So the doshas, the constitutions that Ayurveda also talks about, which I'm not going to go into now. But there's a link to that as well, obviously. So adding more prana can actually deplete you, which is, I think, a very interesting thing. So if you imagine prana as a liquid in a tank, and if you keep adding prana, then that tank, that bowl will overflow. And that's not a good thing, because that means like air is going, or like that water's going everywhere and it's not contained. So it's creating this dispersion. And so the tank is the ojas. It's the container that contains the prana. And this container isn't fixed in its capacity. So that's why it's very important to build your ojas. The bigger your container is, the more prana it can contain. And in the end, the more battery life you as a person has. And so this also explains why there is a limit to the amount of yoga and breath work that is beneficial. It is a great practice to do, but if you create too much prana and you don't have the ojas to contain it, it just makes you unbalanced, and it can actually diminish your ojas because you're a bit unbalanced, and that can deplete you. And so I find that very interesting, that there is balance to everything, as always. And then besides ojas and prana, there's also tejas. And tejas is the vital energy of fire. Ojas, which I haven't mentioned yet, is the vital energy of water. And tejas is the one that brings us wisdom and discernment. So this vital essence helps with nourishment, deciding what is helpful and not. This tejas also is related to Agni, which is also fire. So it helps you to be able to digest and transform that nourishment to keep you healthy. So you can maybe see how these three energies support your health and your well-being. And it just really comes down to your body needs quality nourishment and rest to be able to function well. Because with those, you are able to create those vital essences, those ojas, and the more you have of that, the more capacity you have to deal with life's challenges, because the challenges that life brings can eat up your ojas, and then you need to restore them. And that takes time, because it takes 40 days to build your body, and the rest of that nourishment that then is left over can create your ojas. So it's important to get high quality nourishment. And high quality nourishment doesn't only translate to quality food, but it's also loving company, it's touch, quality touch, obviously, inner tranquility, and having a sense of purpose. So it's a much broader aspect than just food. It's everything that can nourish us in life. And so what can help us build ojas and nourish us well and have us be stable? And that is where the Ayurvedic routines come in, like a reset. And during a digestive reset, we tend to eat khichdi. So every autumn and spring, it's time to give the body some extra support with an Ayurvedic digestive reset. And autumn, it's about 9 days to do a reset, and in spring it's about a month, kind of depending on your well-being, how you are doing, and what you're noticing while you're in the reset. And I've written more about that in other stories that you can find on my website, to kind of read what it's about and how I experienced it. And this time I just did one in October, and I was a bit apprehensive to start since my appetite had been weak and I hadn't been feeling my strongest and most stable for a while because of, well, a lot of things happening that moved me a lot. And the idea of a reset is to reduce the ama. So it's a reducing kind of practice. And I felt I needed to build instead of reduce. But the idea is to reduce the accumulated ama and to strengthen the digestive fire, the agni. So I got it a bit mixed up, sticking too much to the reducing instead of the building or the strengthening. And it turned out it was really the best thing to do when feeling unstable. Because when you're feeling unstable, when everything is, your appetite is low and you're feeling weak, then your agni is weak. So strengthening the agni is exactly what you need to do. So around day 3 of the mono diet, so it starts with a preparation of in this case 3 days of doing several practices that you've chosen to do to practice during your reset. And then 3 days of mono diet. I did 4.5. So around day 3 of the mono diet, my appetite came back. My bowel movement got better. And Ayurveda is all about poo. If you don't poo, you have a problem. So it's important to notice what happens to that as well. And interestingly, my mind also became a lot calmer in those 3 days. And obviously, there's more to it than just a mono diet. There's also been stuff that I've been doing in the days of preparation. Before that, I've received some massages, which have helped me a lot. I've practiced a lot of rest and bringing in more heaviness, as I've shared in my previous story. That was something that I needed to bring in. So really bringing that feeling of scatteredness back towards more grounding. But I did find it surprising that the simplicity of eating the same nourishing meal 4 times a day for 4.5 days was so beneficial. I always do it 4 times a day because when you're hungry, you need to eat. And for me, 4 meals a day works really well. You can also do three meals a day. The idea is to do it for 3 days, but for me it was going really well. So I was like, I'm going to do a little bit more. And so from an Ayurvedic perspective, that it helped so much makes all the sense in the world. And actually not just from an Ayurvedic perspective, because when life gets challenging or difficult or busy, simplifying is really the best thing to do. And doing daily simple practices like in Ayurvedic, from an Ayurvedic perspective, doing the tongue scraping, doing movement, doing meditation, journaling, or whatever works for you, and not having to worry about food, about what you want to cook, because you just make 1 pot of khichdi for the whole day, while being nourished at the same time, are really big things. So sometimes it's really all about little things that become really big. So it's all nothing new, really, but now maybe with a better idea of how it works from an Ayurvedic perspective. So I'm really grateful for Ayurveda for being such a great support and allowing me to experience all this wisdom and to be able to share that again. And so as I've strengthened my Agni with this reset, I'm also able to nourish my body more and start building the ojas again. Because it's just 9 days of reset, and since it takes 40 days to build it, It takes a bit longer, but every little bit helps. And it's a continuous process, obviously. So as you keep nourishing yourself, your ojas can keep being built, and health and more well-being can come back to the system. So that's what I wanted to share for this time. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something from it. Feel free to share questions or comments below. And I'm looking forward to sharing more and hearing from you, and maybe seeing you in one of the events that are coming up, or in a course, or maybe even in a private session if you have any challenges that you would like to look at and would like to work with your body, with patterns that you have that no longer serve you. So I wish you a great day and hope to see you soon.